You're listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author Sarah Boxx, where you get the inside scoop on the steps action takers and decision makers take to align their purpose to their principles and achieve their goals in business and life. We focus on the mantra, no labels, no limits, no excuses. Each week, you'll hear from remarkable guests who have overcome challenges and obstacles to succeed in the face of adversity. By listening to their stories, you'll get practical tips, tools, and resources you can implement today to bust through your own internalized prisons of worry and doubt. And now, without further ado, please welcome your commanding coach with plenty of chutzpah and heart, Sarah Boxx.
Hi, this is Sarah, and thank you so much for downloading this episode of the No Labels, No Limits podcast. As you know, this podcast is all about shedding limiting labels and beliefs so that we can all shine our light in the world just a little bit brighter. Because I believe without a doubt, we are each capable of more than we can imagine. So if you are someone who has that undeniable pull, that tug to be a light in the world or to inspire action and hope and maybe even leave a legacy for good, today's podcast is for you. Personally, I've learned that when we repeatedly clarify our visions, goals, and dreams, and then we make sure that those align with our values and purpose, we've taken the first two steps on a journey of being change makers. And even so, go so far as to say legacy builders. It's also more important, though, that you take a third step, and that is to declare your intentions for good and commit to action. When we do that, we start a positive ripple effect, both in our own lives and then that carries out into the world. So I'll let you know, today and next week, I'm flying solo on the podcast. Partly because I'm taking time to clarify, realign, and also declare my intentions for the next 1, 5, and 10 years at least in my life. Now, this is work I do at least annually. It's always evolving. Sometimes I do it more often. Last year I definitely did it more often, and this is like I've done it 1.5 times. I'll do it 2 times this year too before the year is out. But as I do that work, I continue to learn more about myself. I ask different questions. I look at what's happening around me with the people I work with. And I start to ask, how can I do or contribute to others' success more effectively than I have been? And as I've been asking those questions and reevaluating, realigning, I've thought a lot about co-creation and the power of belonging, which brings me to the topic for today's podcast, and that is the compound benefits of community and belonging to something bigger than yourself. So at some level or another, we all want to belong to something, usually something bigger than we are. We might have a grand vision of something we want to do or accomplish, or just want to be part of a bigger movement. We crave relationships and feeling connected in some significant way to other people. In other words, sad to say, other people, and specifically the way in which we are perceived and interact with them, matter. So other people matter. Even when people say, I don't care what you think of me, we do. We care not so much what we think in the sense that it will change our behavior, but we want to know that we are connected in some meaningful way, that we have purpose, that we're seen and validated. Anyway, one of the things that has been shown is that our desire to find connectedness and belonging impacts just about everything we do. Now, according to Dr. Mariana Pogosian, much of human behavior, thought, and emotion stems from our psychological need to belong. The power of positive self-image and connections to a community can do these 3 things, among others. They can increase your productivity, they can encourage you to reach for higher goals, and they can serve as a powerful source of motivation. So let me say that again. So just having a positive self-image and a connection to a community can increase your productivity, encourage you to reach for higher goals, and serve as a powerful source of motivation. Now, why is that? Well, our sense of belonging has a strong impact on our identity formation, which is a different way of saying how we see ourselves and form ourselves externally. Oftentimes, the way in which we view ourselves or perceive our strengths and weaknesses are in some way tied to the feedback we receive from other people. And after we've listened to it long enough, we start to internalize that and we start to give ourselves that same feedback. That's one of the reasons, among others, but that's one of the reasons why I believe so strongly in stepping back to observe, to hear or listen to what you are saying to yourself, that internal self-talk, or to the comments that people around you are making, whether it's about you, yourself, or even about other people, because we start to internalize those messages. And oftentimes, those messages can be limiting or uninspired, or they might even make us lose hope. And we want to be aware of that so that we can bust through those limiting labels and beliefs to really move into our fullness. But what happens if we are surrounded by people who don't, quote unquote, get us? Or even people who don't want us to change because that makes them uncomfortable? They might have to change. Or people who put their own self-doubts on us. You know, we have a great idea. We're all excited about it. We share it and they go, I don't think you could do that. No, I'm not sure you can do that. You don't have what it takes to do that. It has nothing to do with you. They don't see that they could do that. So it gets poured over onto you. So what do we do when we're surrounded? Well, one of the things that happens is we can begin to doubt ourselves. We can start feeling inadequate. We can start feeling pessimistic. Our persistence can give way to our pessimism, and we can see procrastination, delay, deferring action that we need to take. And if it continues long enough, we can feel a sense of defeat and quit before we're even ready to quit. So we may even quit, which I think is one of the saddest things, just short of our goal line. But that's what can happen when you're running the race alone and there's nobody cheering for you in your corner. So when we have big dreams and goals, especially those that require extended time, patience, and perseverance, I think we do need to believe in our strengths and know we can get help from others when needed, but we do need to find community around us. We definitely don't need to panic, but we do need to reach out and connect, which brings me back to the compound benefits of community and belonging to something bigger than yourself. I'm shifting gears here just a little bit. So last year I invested in a learning community. I wanted to really grow my knowledge and skills in a particular business area. And when I say investment, it was both an investment of money, probably the most expensive membership group I've ever been a part of. So it was real money and real time. This was quote unquote work. No one was forcing me to do it, but I was compelled. I felt it was so important for me to be a part of this learning community. So I committed both the time and the resources. And just as I expected, the content, the training, the team of folks who work with the group, they're amazing. But what I didn't really expect was to find myself kind of swimming in this sea with a couple of thousand of other members from around the world, all with similar goals, going down our own unique versions of a path. And as we did that, members, we were all moving at our own pace, but an amazing thing happened. Members organically started reaching out to one another. Someone would pose a question, and someone from another country, different time zone, or even maybe right next door would say, hey, I've got a thought for you, or I can connect you with so-and-so, or do you want to go on just hop on a call real quick and we can talk through this. That started happening all the time. Small accountability groups formed so that people could work together on specific areas of a development product or wherever they were in their own path. But those groups formed. They weren't forced to form, but they formed so that people could help one another. Then people with similar skills or interest groups started to form around focus areas, might be technology, copywriting, whatever, and then help each other develop content, and in some cases help train inside each other's companies or businesses just because they had the skills and the content and wanted to help that other person succeed. And as individuals continue to do this, they freely shared their resources, their lessons learned, the tips, and there was none of that worry like, well, I can't share this because what if someone takes my great idea, right? What if I get robbed from this great idea? None of that occurred. And what was amazing is people didn't rip each other off. Also, what was amazing is this sense of showing up freely for one another. Now, there were some strategic partnerships that formed out of these relationships. So where it was kind of informal in the beginning, a couple of people, more than a couple, but a couple I'm thinking of in particular, they just clicked with each other. And they thought, well, I have this that could totally benefit what you're trying to accomplish and vice versa. Why don't we join forces and do this together? So that happened. All of that kind of emerged from being committed to a community larger than myself with a bigger world goal than just one person's goal or dream. So anyway, it's continued on, and I really believe that it's because there was momentum, that there are people who are there, not just the staff of team members that I mentioned, but everybody who want to see others succeed. Some people have been doing this work for years. Some people were newbies like me. I'm now get to say I'm a second year person. But because we were surrounded by others and that we could share kind of our ideas, where we were stuck, what was working, and we had a shared group ethos, we really made huge progress. And it continues today more than a year later. Now, I think about why that is, and I really think that being connected to other people who are going in the same direction you're going, even if they're going different routes or receiving, they really have a different end goal, but they're going through the same kind of processes. Being in that situation where you can receive positive responses or insights really helps to bolster our creativity, our confidence, and we start to see our capability different. We don't see ourselves as clearly as other people do. So it's helpful to get that feedback, and it keeps us honest with ourselves. So when we embrace our need to belong and respond with a commitment and dedication to our groups or communities, really there are no losers. Everybody benefits. See what I mean? I just think we all need to belong, and it doesn't have to be something as huge as I'm talking about, but just some place where you can be yourself, be positive and hopeful and grow and stretch, because not everybody wants to do that, and it can be frustrating if you think you're the lone voice in the wilderness. Which brings me to an opportunity. So if you count yourself among a group of leaders who have that kind of pull to do more, you just know that you're doing great stuff, you're having a great impact, but you got that pull, that there's more you want to do, that you really want to be a light in the world, be a change maker, and spend time with other people who quote unquote get you. I want to open an opportunity to you on August 3rd, just coming up in a week or so, at 11 a.m. Pacific. I'm going to host a 1-hour re-envision and recreate session over Zoom. It'll be a Zoom meeting, and I'll send the invite link only out to people who have pre-registered. But the purpose of the session is to create a space in which you might want to be part of a group and share and help grow together. Now, I'm taking what I learned last year from my Intentional Leaders group and notching it up a level. So that group was built with an educational component at the front end, really about how do you lead strategically so that you as a leader can build a team that's powerful, have a plan that guides you, and then be able to use that to keep everybody going forward. Content's great, it's solid, the course is still there, but what I found was that people really wanted to connect as leaders, not necessarily to do more work at the moment, but to be able to talk through ideas and concepts, sometimes just get a lesson or learn something from an expert in another field, such as self-care or whatever, whatever was top of mind for the group. That was where folks gained their value, because it helped them think differently, maybe through a different lens, and then approach their own personal and professional goals refreshed and with, just with that new light and insight. And they also had a group to come back to and say, hey, here's what I did about that. So anyway, I'm going to host that on August 3rd, coming up at 11 a.m. And if you want to be part of that, then I really encourage you to either click the link below this podcast. There should be a link that'll take you right to a sign-up page, or just simply go onto my website, www.sarahboxx, that's with 2 X's, Sarah, SarahBoxx.com, and just drop a note in the comment box on the contact page saying August 3rd workshop. And we'll make sure that you get the link to the Zoom meeting. So I just wanted to let you know this is your official invitation to join me as we co-design a membership that serves you, serves your needs, and creates a space where you could communicate and grow with leaders from around the world. So I hope to see you there. I want to hear from you, and I definitely want to learn and create alongside you. So be sure to register for the session if you're looking to connect with other powerful women. If you can't make that session, just sign up and we'll send you the information, and we'll keep you in the loop, because it's likely we'll do a follow-up session to show what came out of the first session and do some tweaks, and then we'll be off to the races in the fall. So thanks for listening to today's podcast. It would mean a lot to me if you found value in this, if you would share it with a friend or a colleague. I'd really like to get the word out about belonging and connecting to groups that are bigger than just yourself. I have this passion about lifting doubts and limiting beliefs off our shoulders so that we can each be more of who we were designed to be, and just be powerful in the world. So share it. That would be great. If you have an extra couple of minutes, I'd love to hear your thoughts with a rating or review on the podcast. That also helps us reach more listeners. But at any rate, whether you sign up or not, review us or not, I want you to know that I appreciate you listening, and I hope and send you all my best wishes for you to achieve all the goals and dreams that you have for creating positive change in the world. Thanks, and until next week, I'm over and out.
You've been listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author, change agent, and strategic vision coach, Sarah Boxx. You can grab the show notes and find out how to work with Sarah at sarahboxx.com/No Labels, No Limits podcast. We'd love this podcast to reach as many people as possible. So please remember to rate, leave a 5-star review, and share the podcast with someone you think would get value from this conversation. Until next time, keep taking those daily action steps to align your purpose to your principles and achieve your goals in business and life.